Welcome back to Meet the Makers, a podcast where we are taking a deep dive into the inspiring journey of various entrepreneurs, founders, and CEOs who are going to be shaping the future of technology. I'm Karishma, your host. A little background about myself. I am also a founder. I run a bespoke digital marketing agency out of Pune, where we partner with various clients who are in the product space, clients from fintech, manufacturing, logistics, and we work with them for their end-to-end digital marketing and lead generation requirements. Today, we have a very special guest with us who is revolutionizing the way students connect with their education. We have Ashish Chaturvedi, the founder and CEO of uFony, a company that has been successfully thriving in the edtech space for the past 12 years.
Thank you, Karishma, for the warm introduction. No, I've had a very interesting last 20 years as a professional. First 10 years with emphasis in various roles, and then stepping out from corporate, doing my MBA, and then starting this journey of entrepreneurship right out of college. And I hope whatever we share would be useful for people who are aspiring to become entrepreneurs. Maybe they'll learn something out of the mistakes which we have done, do it better than what we probably did.
I think mistakes is the most important part of like any entrepreneurial journey, right?
Vicarious learning comes into pictures because people can learn from somebody else's mistake. They need not burn their fingers to learn what
Yeah.
fire can do.
Maybe you can tell us a little bit more about uFony as a product, like, what is the concept? It is from the edtech space, but it's a very niche and specific space that you have picked up. What is the problem that uFony is trying to resolve?
So uFony is the name of the company. Our product is called School Diary for Indian market. And internationally, we brand the same product by the name of Zoment. We work with some 1100 odd schools in 9 countries. Parents that we have serviced is close to 4.5 lakh users. We are very different from the an academies and Byju's of this world because they are primarily a B2C play where they sell courses and content directly to the users. In our case, we enable schools. We provide them an all-in-one solution called School Diary, through which they can manage their student information, they can engage parents more effectively, they can enhance the security of the child while in school or in transit. They can increase the experience the parents have when they buy uniform books. They can have an Amazon like store for themselves. Enable parents experience by letting them know all the key information that they require to know in a timely manner. School Diary becomes that one encompassing solution to operate on a day-to-day basis.
Do you have an education or, were you working in the education sector before you started this?
I was far away from education, 10 years away from my graduation when I started uFony. Now, the interesting bit is we didn't venture into edtech by design. We built a product that was like a WhatsApp plus a schedule in 2012. So, for example, if I had to send you a message at 3:59 informing that we are going to interact at 4, it would remind you. Plus, if we were approximately closer to each other, say I was passing through your area, it would send you a reminder saying that Ashish is probably 500-meter away if you want to tap and interact with him. Although we tasted success in the B2C space primarily, but we realized we were never had the capital to kind of compete with the Line and the WeChats of the world, which were very predominantly active in India market at 2013. Now, during that period when we were like experimenting, what else can we do, right? I was dropping my elder son, who was 5 at that time, for his pre-K van pickup. And at the stop, I realized that he had to carry a chart paper with him. And the bugger never told us. So when I came back and I spoke with my wife, who was a pre-primary teacher in a different school, her challenge was, she wanted to share a lot of things with the parents, but nobody wanted to share their mobile numbers because, you have those zealous parents who would call 9 p.m. in the night to check, why the sandwich was half eaten. Then we realized, what we have created in the form of Zoment is a communication platform between two people. Maybe that could help the preschoolers and the teachers interact in a better way without compromising on their privacy. So we just offered it to her preschool for free. We said, this is something which is there. If you like it, let us know and we'll build on it. The interesting aspect is they used it for 3 months and then they paid us. So there is when we realized that we have something which is valuable. So we started as a parent communication one-to-one engagement platform, which is private at both ends. And then we kept adding as we learned what the schools wanted, starting with one module in say 2015. Now we stand at almost 43 different products within school diary that we offer to the preschool schools, coachings, as well as colleges across the board.
So were you one of the first players or the only player doing this at that time?
We were like handful of 2 3 players, couple of them based out of Pune itself, right, who were doing, but we had very different approaches. We were always mobile first. In 2012, I had a Android smartphone, which was not very common at that time. Others were building primarily for web, assuming that the world will operate on desktop and laptop. And now you have a significant amount of people in the same space trying to do the similar thing that we try to do.
It is now a tried and tested model where people know that yes, this works. When did you make it B2B?
So this was 2014 December is when we gave our the other product to a school, saying that although this may not be a direct fit, but try it out. January of 2015 is when they wrote us a check. Essentially, we say School Diary was born out of the earlier Zoment in 2015 January, and that is how the journey went.
You said that you started out with 2 3 models and modules, and today you have 43. So how many iterations or how many tweaks has the product gone through across this period of 12 years?
I have lost the count of tweaks which we have made. Every day you wake up to realize, something is missing, and that is what, it keeps you excited day in, day out to keep improving on what you're doing.
Did you work with somebody who was constantly working on the same product, or were you experimenting with different technology, different people who came in with innovative ideas and suggestions as well? Maybe you can throw some light on that.
So from a technology standpoint, we remain pretty consistent with what we started with. We started with Microsoft at the back end, and the front end was native apps on iOS and Android. We built Windows app as well, but then the Windows phone are gone now. A lot of people came in different capacities, right? So I'm very grateful to each of them because everybody came in with a different perspective of how the product should be or what value it should generate. Learned a lot from all of them. It does shape, right, to speak to people, get different perspective, and try to see if that aligns with the vision which you are trying to deploy or build.
So the vision that you're trying to build, like, would you say you're there, or there's like a
No,
lot more?
no, as an entrepreneur you are never there, right? So it's a never ending road. There is nothing called definite value, right? So you keep adding to it, keep increasing the value, and the journey continues.
When you started out, right, and when people started adopting the product, was there like a time where there was some major roadblock, or maybe there a day where you were completely demotivated that is this even the right thing that we have created?
A lot of times I think as entrepreneurs we all witness the same thing, right? Sometimes you feel really high, and when the low hits you, you really don't know how low it can get. So that is how the journey was for us. Just to give you a context, I had a that 1 crore wala job offer from IMCAL when I stepped out, and I kind of gave that up to start this. All said and done, I'm nowhere close to drawing that much salary still. So you always have that thought coming in, was it really worth it, right? But then you look at it and you see, you have generated 100 odd employments, and 70% were or rank freshers, who otherwise would have struggled to begin their career. They flew out of our organization doing wonderfully well in whatever they are doing. So, of course, there were bad times where we felt things are not working, but then there were certain good times which made the journey worth it, right? One specific challenge which we faced was not many people had smartphones. The internet, how we think of internet now didn't exist. A lot of people used to say, half of the parents will not have the phone, and even if they have a phone, they will not have a working connection when outside their home. So why should we bet on something like that? We struggled a lot during the initial 2 3 years on that, and that was something which was beyond our control till the digital version of India happened. That's why I say luck does play a role. If we would have started in 2002 and we were standing at 2013 having this conversation, I would have been thinking still, whether it is really worth it given the infrastructure which exists in the country, but not anymore.
So when you talk about product, right, any kind of SaaS product, even pricing is a very important factor. How do you understand where to price it? Do you give, like a pay as you go model, or do you give a free trial? So that is something that I'm sure a lot of listeners want to know.
When we started, when we wanted to get in and have people experience our product, we used to give it at a throwaway price or many a times free. But then during the journey, we learned that anything which is free is of no value to anyone, right? So even if you have lesser number of customers, but if they are paying customers, your product will improve, and the respect which they will have for you and you will have for them will be intact.
Who you charge the schools, or you also charge the parents?
We charge the schools, and we charge them a per student per year kind of a model, right? So that's the typical SaaS model. But then we have bigger chains where we have given them or proposed to them on a fixed license fee for a certain duration. We offer a variety of services, as we said, right? ERP is one, parent communication is one, child security is another, commerce is another. So every different aspect of our business has a different pricing, which a school can subscribe all together or in bits and pieces.
I know that you said that you're present in 9 countries. So obviously, you must have started out with India, and then taking that big leap and, taking your product international is, quite a great thing to achieve. How did you manage it? Like, was there some reference, or, did you reach out to somebody online, or did you have somebody go there and knock at doors? How did it happen?
Another one of those lucky factors, right? So we never could reach out to people who could sell, on our behalf to schools, especially in the digital world where you don't have a tangible product, right? Doing it remotely is a different challenge, but we were lucky. Pre-COVID, we had few schools discovering us online. They liked our approach of mobile first, and they were aligned with that vision. Those were smaller schools, 200, 500 kids in Hungary, Philippines, Ecuador, Africa, many countries, right? And then they tried our product, used it locally. Some of the parents of those schools discovered us, and they said, hey, I can help you take it to other schools or different regions. And that's how it kind of happened. We never had a very concentrated effort to promote ourselves outside India, except the during the COVID time when we tried for the US market and which we failed. Long story short, we got discovered by people who approached us saying that, hey, we can help you promote. COVID had a big impact. Many of the school owners and the schools got washed away. So we lost business there. But then, some of the countries have come back and business catapulted, but it never reached the pre-COVID levels which we had, right?
And that also goes to show that, your product is also a good product. Sometimes you have to literally explain to your customer what value your product is going to add. The journey starts right from awareness. It's a very simple approach which is solving a very traditional problem. So rather than you having to, create that conviction within them, it was more about somebody, doing that reference marketing, or say influencer marketing. And which are the countries where you are present right now?
Ecuador and Philippines closed down for us after COVID, but we are in multiple countries in Africa. We are in Tanzania, we are in Kenya, we are in Rwanda, we were in Nigeria as well. We are in Oman, we are in Nepal. We are actually about to enter Sri Lanka. We were in Morocco. These are all the countries where people kind of discovered us, came to us.
That's amazing, Ashish, I must say. You have also received a round of funding. This was a few years ago, right? 2017, I believe.
So we have raised smaller amounts across 5 different rounds, starting from
Okay.
2012, when some of the people at IMCAL saw that this lunatic has given up that 1 crore offer and started something on his own. So I had money before I actually had the product, but it never works. If you have the money and if you don't have the idea, right, it splurges. And that's what we did. And that is what, if I have to share only one learning with people who are listening to this or who want to start, never build anything which nobody wants. That part of business acumen is very difficult to get for a first time entrepreneur. You always build what you think is absolutely gold in your mind. right? But it might not be valued by an actual paying customer. And when I say actual paying customer, I don't mean free customers, people who actually, five customers who are ready to actually pay, and they actually
Yes.
transfer the money to your bank account, right?
Would you say that involves a lot of market research because you have one idea and then you need to take say maybe 50 or 100 people's perspective towards that idea to actually understand? Was there like a journey where you also did some extensive market research, and what all did that involve?
Market research, of course, is there, right? You can talk to a lot of people who are in that space and try to understand, what they're using, what the gaps are, and whether there is a need in the gap. There might be a gap, right? But whether there is a money to be made in the gap, because at the end of the day, the purpose of business is business. Apart from that, what we did is we iterated, build this much, right? Take it to the people. Don't be afraid if it gets shot down, but learn from it and add a delta more to it. Keep iterating till somebody pays. You don't need 50 people to give you the feedback. If three people or four people are ready to pay for it, that's enough market research, because you have to just find their clones. So co-creation with a client is also a very good way, right? You find one good guinea pig and you sit with them and you experiment and you do whatever you adds value to them, right? Without losing the track. For example, I'm a software guy, right? If somebody tells me, why don't you buy, start uniform making business, I will say no. But in my space, if they say in software, I need this, I have the problem, can a software solve this? That is certainly you should lap it up. One way is to, go talk to a lot of people, do a dipstick, a detailed qualitative survey. And the other is identify three, four people, sit around them, learn from them, say what challenges they're facing, build for them, and once it is built, take it out. You go to people, ask money, they'll not give. You go to people, ask advice, everybody will give. So be patient with it, filter the right information out. Even if we have lost schools where we have said no to certain things which they wanted us to do, but we have also always parted in a good way, because at the end of the day, life does not end if a transaction ends. So as long as you pay respect and you are being paid respect, people generally help. Yeah, taking money out of somebody else's pocket is no joke.
And that's where the success lies, right? The moment you are able to get money out of someone's pocket, you are on your way to success.
And how you define success is very important as well, right? I don't know, right? I'm nowhere closer to what I could have been from a monetary standpoint, right? But when I moved back to Pune, the first maid which we hired, her daughter works on in the engineering department of our company. We hired her. This year we'll have four people coming out from HBTI Kanpur, my alma mater for engineering. Four freshers. It's a very good college, top 20, top 30 engineering college in India, probably the third oldest in India, but only 30% people are placed as of today, right? Four in fresh engineering graduates will join us. We have hired almost 70 odd freshers across the board, right? Sales, engineering, operations, support. Enabling somebody to do something with their lives is also a merit of, or also a way to gauge success,
Very
right?
fulfilling. Yeah.
Very fulfilling, right? Now, if I'm in Pune, my office is like 300 meters from my home. So I walk to lunch every day. To few, it may not matter more, but to me, it's a success because I can define where I can be at what time. So entrepreneurship kind of enables you in certain ways to relish certain things which a corporate life doesn't. I worked with Infosys for 10 years, very rewarding, different roles I played. But then you were always with a brand, running with a brand, doing things which we are told, with very limited scope of doing certain unique on your own.
You mean that balance initially when you start out, you have that entire energy, and maybe you're really chasing something, but it's about being consistent and maintaining that balance rather than like getting burnt out. For you, success is that you're able to gain that flexibility in your day. I think that comes only out of a very mature entrepreneur. It's not every day that you get to hear that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a very lonely and a tiring journey. I'm a solo founder, right? I had co-founders in my batch at IMCAL who dropped out because they couldn't take the plunge. So it has been a very lonely journey, right? So at times you have to balance your mind out in certain way, but then
Hmm.
look at the positive sides of it and contribute and create value there.
You do when you want to just shut off and take a break? Like,
I do travel and we do drive a lot. We drive to say Kanpur, which is my hometown, every twice a year, right? Which is almost a 1500 to 1600 kilometer drive from Pune. So we do that. I run a lot. I gained a lot of weight during the initial parts because सारा hormones आपके body के हिल जाते हैं, right? You are just eating and you don't know what's going on, right? But at the end of the day, you need a very supportive family and very chosen good friends.
did you consult with, or did you have any mentors along the way? Because even one more thing that I've heard is that mentorship can also help.
Our first investors were the Chennai Angels. They came in 2012, and so Ramraj, he was the founder of Sifi.com, if you remember. Al Narayanan, another, and both of them happened to be seniors of mine from IMCAL, way seniors, but still seniors. Apart from putting their money in and their faith in somebody who just had an idea on a piece of paper, these seasoned entrepreneurs did help me at times when things were really tough with their advice, and at the end of the day with their support, saying sometimes things are not meant to work. Beyond a point, you should never fret and complain about anything. Money gone down the drain is also okay, as long as the intentions were right and the efforts were put in, right? So of course, apart from friends, family, and fools, I had good set of investors who always backed me and supported throughout the journey.
I've heard a lot of people say that sometimes you don't want to take investment. Matlab, you were better off without it because it comes with the whole pressure. There's going to be, those numbers showing in your bank account, but you're accountable for, every penny of that. What is your take on that?
Smart money is good. If the people who come in open a new doors, can give you ideas, can connect you to people, can help you validate what you're doing, that is smart money. Always, I'm always for smart money, even if you have to liquidate certain percentage of your ownership. But then there are people who just have money. They are not generational wealthy guys. Maybe they had a parcel of land which they just sold off and they became rich. Avoid them, because they have not witnessed how things go south and
Mhm.
what needs to be done when that happens. I have never raised VC capital. Always angel and seed to a certain level, not much money. We generate revenue much higher than what we have raised all put together. If I have to restart, I would not want to take the baggage of money with me, right? If I could do something on my own without taking any money, I would have done it. You have to pay people who have trusted you, apart from returning their money, their faith, right? And that is a burden to carry, right? So at times when things are slow and you want to simply quit and move out and do something on, you look at your balance sheet and you realize there are some people who trusted you. You can't just simply give up on their trust. So if you want to save yourself from that heartburn day in day out, if the things are not going well, I'll say avoid money. But apart from that, if you have money, you can pivot, you can experiment, you can pay, you can delegate a lot of things rather, which you will end up doing yourself, which may save you a lot of time. There is no right and wrong answer. It just depends on your business, right? And it just depends on whether you want money to make a business, or whether you are in a business of raising capital. That we see a lot of people who are in business of raising capital,
Hmm.
one round to the other, and their lifestyle gets funded through these investments. Don't do that.
You mentioned some time ago that you salary wise you still don't feel you are where you wanted to be. So initially when you started, was there a period where you were not paying yourself?
So in 10 years, we have run out of money twice. And but you always had employees. The first time when that happened, I had 6 people. I was just barely drawing something to survive myself. I had only one son at that time. This was 2015 or thereabouts. The second time we ran out of money was 2018. We invested a good amount of money in marketing and sales. Ours is a very sales driven business. You have to knock at the door locally to present the idea and sell. And it kind of bombed, didn't work. Maybe the product lacked something at that time. So yeah, there were periods of almost, I would say, 30 odd months in last 10, 11, 12 years where I have actually survived without money, all thanks to Infosys. and whatever I could have done there. But yeah,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, entrepreneurship or doing something, creating value is not a one day game, right? This American concept of fail fast, right? I don't understand, because most of the businesses will definitely fail them, because initially there is no way for you to create something which is liked by everyone, or which is being paid by people.
So you would say that even if you are failing, like you are not that kind of a person who would put a timeline to it. That even if for 5 years it's not happening, I'm going to try more, because you are still very focused on your idea, or you know that it can create value. It may take some more time, but
So idea has no value in my mind. Where we started and where we stand, the ideas are like 360-degree apart, very far from each other, right? So idea has no value, but iteration has, pivoting
Hmm.
has. So every day, if you are smart enough, you will learn from the market, and you will try to tinker with what you are doing. Small tinkering which you do across day in day out across the years will compound to create something which is valuable, because
Hmm.
you are learning, continuously learning from the market and adapting. Nokia started as a, it's a great example. They started as a lumber company, right, in woods, and now they are defunct, right? But they ended up being the greatest mobile company at certain point in time. Now, of course, somebody who started cutting trees would never would have thought ki I would end up there, right? But they learned from their customers. Customers said, I also want this, can you do this? They evaluated whether it makes sense to go there or not, right? And you keep iterating. That's how it is.
We know that entrepreneurship is a very, very hard journey. So for somebody who's trying to get into it, somebody who's just graduated or somebody who has just finished their MBA, would you recommend it or not?
The slight regret I carry is 2001 gave us an opportunity. 2001 is when I graduated from my engineering. My joining in Infosys was supposed to be 4th of October 2001. And then 9/11 happened a month before. Right? That was the year. So everybody had a job offer, but very few had a joining across the board.
Hmm.
The only, if I have to go 20 years back, I would, and tell, myself of 20 years back to do something, I would say, that was the time to actually start up. Because if
Hmm.
I would have done that, अभी आराम से actually हिमालय में बैठे होते, कुछ और करने का जरूरत नहीं था.
Hmm.
So if somebody is graduating and has an interest and has the capacity to sustain for 10 years, because 10 years is the bare minimum required, right? Then I would say there is never a bad time. You don't have any liability. You probably have a girlfriend who may ditch you. Your parents will be supportive. You don't have kids and family to support. You are completely on your own. 10 years
Hmm.
down the line, you'll be married. You will have responsibilities. Your wife may be working. You would be answerable to certain things which she needs in her life as well, right? Or he
Yeah.
needs.
Don't think one earning member of the family is, it doesn't cut it anymore. You do need to.
That is the age when you have friends who will not be very calculative. They will back you. Yeah, tum kar rahe ho, to we will support you, right? They will not say ki, okay, tell me what the cash flow would be 3 years down the line, and then
Yeah.
we'll do a discounted cash flow to arrive at a valuation number. It's a great time, right? But you have to look at two things. You have to look within and figure out, are you someone who can run long distances? And I'm not saying you have to run. If you have some certain things which is uh, like an hobby, may not be producing monetary results for you, but you keep doing it, even if there are challenges to it, and without thinking what others are thinking about your success and failure, then you have it. If you don't
Hmm.
have anything like that, then corporate is a good way to come in and work in a particular field to gain some skill and try. Second thing is, you need to have an idea to begin with. You simply cannot step out and say, okay, I'll not take up a job. I'll figure out what needs to be done, which I have done. It took 3 years for me to actually figure out, what needed to be done. So avoid that mistake. If you have broad idea, okay, for example, I want to work in EV, or I want to work in digital marketing, right? Broad ideas. Then you can always chisel down to that niche which you want to operate in. See, building product is the easiest thing I've seen in last 10 years. Anybody can build a product in India, and with chat GPT and the AI tools which are coming in, it will become increasingly easy. But what is difficult is figuring out whether somebody will pay for it. And even if you figure out somebody is willing to pay for it, actually able to derive the money out of their pocket. So if you are a very techie guy, right, find a partner who is polar opposite to you and who can do all this. Because personality wise, you'll find it increasingly difficult to do this thing. And this is very, I have learned sales the very hard way. To just give you an example, when we were with Infosys, right, I walked in into some of the Fortune 500 companies that, and met people without any problem. I have dined and wined with them, not a problem at all, right? The moment you step out and that brand from behind you disappears, that aura is gone,
Mm.
right? Then you realize you were just a chipkali on the wall who thinks that you are supporting the wall, but you're no one. So you need an entrepreneur, enterprising mind and an ability to interact with people and sell. If you don't have it, partner it with someone. Never do it solo.
Would you say that if you are going in for something, do you need to have an exit strategy?
I still don't have an exit strategy. I see somebody may come and buy you out,
Mm.
or you may become insolvent. You may realize that your business may scale at a certain level and not beyond, which we have also kind of contemplated many a times and still contemplate whether we should be creating more verticals because we have products which can sell outside education as well. But if you start with an exit strategy, then you are in the business of raising funds. अगर पहले दिन से आपको अभी पता है कि एग्जिट कैसे होना है, right? That's a transaction, not a business to be built. If you find an opportunity like that where you can buy something from 100 and sell it for 200 in 2 days, why not? But that's trading, that's not value creation, in my opinion.
Hmm. Yeah. So I think the main thing is that there should be value that you're creating and the money will flow in on its own. That is how you should probably look at it.
Look at it that way, may or may not happen, but at the end of the day, value create karenge, the people will still remember you.
Great insights, Ashish. And lastly, I've been wanting to ask this that since everyone is talking about AI and Gen AI in general, also maybe, to conclude, you can throw some light on what you're looking forward to, with the product.
Right. So we do use, so for example, AI, and this is 2020, schools were closed, exams were happening online. So we have an online exam product within school diary. Of course, the kids were cheating. Everybody was acing their tests. Again, my elder one came up to me, "Ki, look at these guys, Papa. They're not worth it, but they are scoring as much as the toppers are.
Okay.
So what can we do about it, right?" So we came up with an idea: AI proctored exams. This was 2020 when the
Oh,
COVID
wow.
struck after that. So we trained our own model, and through which my other company called Vicepal got formed, which is essentially an AI proctored assessment platform, which companies use for their recruitment, right? So we do use AI. We use a lot of AI in voice processing, which is the interesting area for us. We are publishing a paper there as well. How the cognitive load changes the voice patterns of any individual. For example, if I just ask you, "Hi Karishma, how are you?" or "Tell me about yourself," your voice pattern would be very different. And then if I say, "Hey Karishma, tell me, 10 years back on this very day, what were you doing?" So when you lie, or when anybody lies, that changes as well. I see a lot of people will become more and more productive as the
Hmm.
tools become more and more sharp, because at the end of the day, what needs to be done, comes from human ingenuity. If somebody is smart enough to know what to do, AI will help them do that faster. And from a company standpoint, we have products. For example, we have a complete transportation suite where with a single click you can do route planning of which bus or which cab needs to go on a particular route, so that the overall distance traveled and time taken is the least. So we want to take that out, such products out of education and to corporates. So within B2B, but we'll be trying to create new verticals. Now, school diary is slightly mature. Even if I step aside, 80% of it will survive and keep running. I would look for the next thing which I can do, and where, I can probably go and solve a problem which people have not touched yet.
Great talking to you. Any last thoughts? Anything you want to conclude with?
Well, learn from others' mistake. It's free. And secondly, never do it alone. Try to find, couple of people who you can trust and back. I think is the
Hmm.
only advice I'll give. And Don't judge your success or failure from the bank balance you may have. There are various
Hmm.
aspects to it. How good your health is, how well you were able to travel and see the world. Look at many dimensions to success and then decide what your success is.
Ashish, it was lovely chatting with you. I think it was a very inspiring chat. I myself got to learn a lot of things. It's very nice to have, such mature entrepreneurs with so much of experience, come on the show, because I'm sure that the listeners have gained quite a bit of knowledge from this chat. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time. For our listeners, stay tuned for the next episode, because we are going to get more amazing people like Ashish and get to know about their journey. Thank you,
Thank you so
Ashish.
thank you so much for inviting, and it was lovely talking because as you said, right, advice देने में सबको मजा आता है. Maybe I enjoyed that as well.